Well, tonight is Wednesday, June the 19th, 2013, and this is Managerial Economics, right? Always good to know I'm in the right place at the right time. I have a management class that meets on alternate Wednesdays in this room, and then I have a finance class that meets on occasional Tuesdays, and sometimes I need help getting where I'm going. So, tonight is 2 weeks before the midterm. You have problem sets 1 through 4 that you've been hopefully working on and identified any kind of issues that you have. And so we will take that up tonight. But before we begin that, are there any general questions or administrative questions or any gripes and complaints? Hell, I'm good with that. Anything at all on your mind? Yes, ma'am.
What are your videos? The second one for problem set 1?
The second video for problem set 1.
Because you have 2 videos for that.
Okay.
The second one, the answer is wrong.
Did we correct that later?
Well, on the answer sheet, it has the right answer, and then we went over it and it was correct, but the video is wrong.
Okay. So the video has an error in it, so you best rely on the corrected answer sheet and on the other video. Was it another video that went over that from class? Yeah. Okay. We'll just, hopefully people will identify that. When you get the same question with different answers, it should be obvious something isn't right. If you wait until the night of the final exam to identify that problem, we have a word for that. It's called stupid. Okay? Good. Thank you. Anything else? Then let us begin. What questions or question would you like to address? Yes, ma'am.
On problem set 2, I'm kind of off on number 4, K, L, M, and on number 5, B and C.
Let's go in order. Problem set 2, question 4, and
K,
you want
is,
you want to look at K
L
and L
M.
and M. Okay. Well, let's see what our general solution was. 4. I don't seem to see part M. Here it is. Problem set 1, question number 2B. That's that. So we will first go to problem set 1, question 2, where we calculated the consumer surplus at a price of $6,100. All right. Problem set 1. 61 or 69? What we got basically, and I'm going to start with problem set 1, number 2. We got a demand equation looking something like this: 43,850. No. 580. Dyslexia there. Minus 5.0 PZ. That was our demand equation. And then it said, what goes on when the price is $6,100? So we've got a demand curve out here. We're going to go out and find that intercept. We also want to know the intercept on the price axis, and we want to determine the size of that rectangle. Everybody with me on that as far as consumer surplus goes? Okay. Let's see here. When we plugged in 6,100 here, our quantity became 12,958. And I see somewhere earlier in the calculation when we solved for this intercept, it became 8681. Everybody comfortable with those numbers and where they came from? Okay. So how do we find the area of that triangle? We're going to take 1/2 the base times the height. So 1/2, and the base is this distance, which is also this distance, which is 12,958. And then the height is from 6,100 to 8681. 2581. And then, of course, we do that in our head because it's fairly simple,
So it's going to be,
right? I just showed the final answer here. $16,722,299. Okay, now, that's what we did. Where is your confusion?
because of number K and,
On problem set 2, letter K,
yes, please, L and M also.
K, L, and M. Well, let's see. What? I'll do K and L in just a second. I think M is where we're messing with the consumer surplus. So M is basically this answer.
Oh,
This is for problem set 2, question 4, M. It says, how much consumer surplus exists theoretically for this good at a price of $6,100? Okay? We doing okay with that? Let me ask you something in passing. What is the total revenue the firm earns when they charge $6,100? What is their total revenue? How do we determine that?
price times quantity.
Price times quantity. Could you do this for me real quick? 6,100 times 12,958.
It's going to be 79.
79.
Millions, 43,800.
400.
No, 43,800.
43,800. 800. Okay. So, what I think is helpful, at least in conceptualizing this stuff, and even in the real world to a degree, we know this. This is our sales. We imagine there is up to another $16 million out there. You with me on that? That means if you let me round this off to 80 million, and there's 16 million more we didn't get, that the consumer's value received, the total value to the consumer, is the total revenue plus the consumer surplus. You with me so far?
So I'm sorry, for what number you are
I
doing?
rounded 79 million to 80 million.
Yeah, but is it a K or L?
Well, this is just after
yes.
that. Yeah.
Oh, after.
This is sidebar discussion.
Okay.
The company's making $80 million in revenues. They know the consumers are walking out with about $96 million in revenues, total value received. The difference is the consumer surplus. What is a consumer surplus again, conceptually?
The amount of money that the business could have taken from the consumer.
The amount of money the consumers were willing to give up if the business could come up with a way or ways to extract that from them. Well, if you look at this in ratio, okay, this is 20% of the value. This is the 80%. 80% of 96, 80 million. 20%, somewhere around here. I'm trying to do 5. No, it's 6. I'm sorry. These numbers are off just a little bit. This would be 5, 6. This is about 83%, and this is about 17%. So in a sense, the company's capturing about 83% of their consumers' willingness to pay. How does that make you feel if you were that business?
Good, but is it good enough?
Good, but is it good enough? Why do they just charge everybody one price? I mean, if they charge different people different prices, wouldn't some people be willing to pay more? That's what all that other area is up here. At a higher price, only these people would have bought it. At a little bit lower price, these people would have bought it. But all of these people going back here, all of them seem to be willing to pay a little bit more. In fact, a lot more. Now, 83%, maybe that's pretty good. What if it were 20%? You'd be thinking, dang, I only got 20 cents out of every dollar they were willing to spend. That's poor. 80% 83%? Maybe that's okay. Why would you be willing to accept just 83%? Why would you want to just charge everybody the same price? Think about it. You're selling anything. Your customers come in, they all pay the same price, they all walk out. Why do you do that rather than trying to find out how much each customer is willing to pay and get them to pay a little more?
Because in order to maximize your profits, you have to, find the right price that most people will pay.
You're close, but you started out with exactly the right word. We're maximizing profits here, okay? What is it going to take me to be able to talk to each customer one at a time and see what they're willing to pay? Well, if I'm selling cars on a car lot, I got to have a salesperson to talk to everybody that walks on the lot. Salespeople aren't cheap. It may be that if I'm going to set up a different pricing structure with different price levels or with different pricing structures, that becomes a little more expensive than the extra revenue I'm going to make. You see what I'm saying? In America, we tend to think of businesses who set themselves up and say, here's my price, everybody pays the same price. Well, that gets to be pretty damn dumb sometimes. Okay? Because when people come into your business to buy, they all have different willingness on how much they're ready to spend. If you're selling lawnmowers and you say, I think most people would pay $150 to $200 for a lawnmower, that's great. If you set them all up for $150 or $200 a piece, that's cool. But what about Strickland when he walked in there thinking he was going to buy this and this and it was cost him about $450? Why did you let me walk out without spending at least part of that extra money? Why didn't you set yourself up so you could, either with a salesperson who says, and Mr. Strickland, in addition to this lawnmower, we can add this attachment and this accessory, and, oh, okay, I was going to spend that much anyway. You got my money. But if you're going to hire people who are nothing but order takers and they say, oh, lawnmower, that's that much, okay, then you're going to charge everybody pretty much the same price. You see what I'm saying? If you can find ways to get the money out of people's pockets, it's not like you're holding a gun to their head saying, I want more money. They're willing to spend more money. Give them a reason to. Give them an attachment. Give them a warranty. Paint it another damn color. Okay? I would suggest to you that, let's say for examination purposes, when I tell you to calculate the consumer surplus and explain what that means, I want you to define it as you did. I want you to calculate it as we have done. But I would also expect that you could tell me what it means. What it means to the business. It means for the business, there's $16 million walking out the door. Could we spend a couple of $1 million and capture a lot of that? Now, are we okay so far? How do you capture the consumer surplus? And I don't recall that we've gone through this. Yes, ma'am.
Would you say that the airplane industry captures most of the consumer surplus?
Why would you say the airplane industry, the air travel industry captures that?
Because they have different prices for different travelers at different times, and those are willing to spend more.
Good. I think they certainly are capturing some of it. I think they are also capturing some of it when they charge you $25 or $35 to put your dang suitcase on the airplane. Every time they add additional fees. When they say, oh, gee, did you want a window seat? Oh, that's another $20. And you can say, I don't need it that bad. Well, you didn't have $20 of consumer surplus. So absolutely right. When they start giving you options, that's what they're doing. Next time you go into Walmart, look at their lawnmowers. How many prices for lawnmowers do you think Walmart has? 2?
30.
I think I counted 8 or 9 the last time I went in. And they ran from like $100 on up in $30 or $60 increments right there. Years ago I saw that. I've got a picture of it. I always keep meaning to add it to my materials for the class. That's called price lining. You have different levels or lines of price. One of the things that used to be traditional in clothing stores, men's clothing especially, is you put some of your best stuff in the windows. But as people came in the store, you had different philosophies. You had your cheap stuff, and then you had your medium price stuff, and then you had your really good stuff in the back. And so the person who came in and looked at the cheap stuff, you hoped he was not going to be satisfied and he would gently work his way back to higher priced items. Other people would put their best stuff up front and their cheap stuff in the back. Why?
They want you to look through the more expensive stuff before you get to the cheap.
They want you to look at and touch and put on the expensive stuff, so when you go back and look at the cheap stuff, you'll know how cheap it is. A sales technique. If I've got 3 different products here, knives, $19, $29, $39, and I see you looking at my knives and I come over and chat with you and say, let me show you one of these knives. Which one should I show you? Say again?
The expensive one.
Some companies teach you show them the middle one. You gauge their reaction, and if they seem really positive, you move them up. And if they seem really reluctant, you move them down. Other stores teach you show them the expensive one first, particularly when it's tactile, when it's kinesthetic, when you can hold it, touch it, feel it. You give them that one first, so they know what quality is. And you pitch that. And if they are still reluctant, you say, well, let me show you this other one. And when you show him the $19 or $29 knife, how is it different than the $39 knife? Got any idea? It's got different blades. It's got different little attachments. It's got a different carrying case or sheath. And, I mean, you can just pick it up and feel the difference and say, whoa. And then you train your people to do things like this. You buying that knife for yourself? Or is that a gift? There's a hook in there. It's going to catch you just like it does a fish. What are you going to tell me? If you tell me, oh, yeah, it's a gift from my daddy, what did I just hear?
A willingness to pay? I don't know.
I'm going to say, if it's for your dad, and this knife's going to last, I don't know, how old's your dad? Oh, he's 60, 65? This knife will last him the rest of his life, This is a great knife. For a $10 difference, there's really not much to think about, is there? You wouldn't buy your daddy a cheap knife, would you? I'm not going to say that, but I'm implying that. Okay, and what am I doing? I'm trying to get you to pay just as much as you want. Sales techniques, pricing techniques, physical positioning techniques, where you put stuff in a store. Okay? Y'all are all health services administration people, right? How would this apply for you? How would this apply in the medical healthcare setting?
Buying and purchasing of equipment.
A person comes in and says, I need to buy a wheelchair for my father. Here's opportunity knocking. Can you hear it? How many different prices of wheelchairs? How many accessories are you going to have? How well rehearsed is your sales pitch going to be? And it's not like you're holding a club over their head saying, you better buy this. You're saying, look, here's all the things we got. Tell me a little bit about what you need, and let me see if I can match you up. And if it starts getting a little steep for you, let me know. We'll move down. And if you're comfortable with it, I'll show you and you're going to gradually try to trade them up to make the most money you can. That's capitalism. If you're offended by it, you're in the wrong country. Okay? All right? When I say tell me about consumer surplus, I want to know a hell of a lot more than just what is the number and the fact that, they were willing to spend that much. I want to know, what are you going to do about it? All right? Other questions? K and L.
Yes.
K says, using the 5 factors that shift demand, give an example of how each one could increase the demand for good Z. What are the 5 things that shift demand? Can you tell me that, anybody?
Income. Price of substitutes.
Price of substitutes or complements.
Preferences.
Huh?
Preferences.
Preferences, tastes.
Number of
buyers. And buyers' expectations.
Buyer expectations.
And so that question is designed to say, hey, did you study that? If you studied that and know that, you can, A, make a quick list and give me an example of each one. How could I increase the demand, right, or use to decrease the elasticity of demand? No, I'm sorry, I'm on K. Increase the demand. Well, incomes. What if we marketed in areas of rich people? They have more money. Okay? What can we do with respect to substitutes and complements? If we sell 2 goods that are complements, we reduce the price for one, we sell more of the other, because they're buying more of each. That's the answer I was looking for. Know those 5 things and be ready to give me an illustration. L says, what are the 4 factors that affect own price elasticity? Everybody know that list? Anybody know that list? Time. What happens with time? Is it
More
more
time.
inelastic when
It's more elastic when you have more time.
you have less time?
Oh,
I need it bad right now. I'm bleeding to death. How about a tourniquet? Okay. Time,
necessity.
is it a necessity or a luxury? If it's a necessity, you got to have it. The demand's more inelastic.
How much percentage of it is of your income?
Good. What percentage of your budget or income does it account for? Because if it only counts for a little tiny part of your budget, your demand's fairly inelastic. You don't much care what the damn price is. How much are toothpicks at Publix?
Really cheap.
If you don't, oh, for God's sake, you don't mix martinis and not put an olive in them, do you? And if you're going to put an olive in them, you got to have a toothpick, or you kind of lower class, you know. So toothpicks at Publix are what? 79 cents, $1.29, or $1.59 a box? Take a guess. 79? Anybody else? 159. I mix my martinis with olives with toothpicks. I've been buying toothpicks from Publix for 45, 50 years. And I don't know how much it costs. Because my demand for them is totally inelastic. It's somewhere in that price range, and that's so small it doesn't matter. I buy them. And so if they raise it to $2.19, you think I'd notice? Why not? Well, that too. When I'm out, it's desperate. But even if I don't need them real bad, they're such a small part of my total income. Doesn't matter. What's the last one? You're 3 for 4.
Available substitutes?
Number of substitutes available. When there are very few or no substitutes, the demand becomes very inelastic. Okay? So what I would want you to do is give me an example. First, give me the list, and then give me an example. How can you use this? How can you reduce the number of substitutes? How can you make the consumer choose in a shorter period of time? Okay? That sort of thing. So, KL&M, right? Okay. Yes, sir.
I had an issue in problem set 4.
Me too. Go ahead.
18, 19, and 20.
Bingo. If I was giving out prizes tonight, you would win it. Because that's the same 3 questions that when I started working on them, not only did I have a little bit of difficulty with one of them, I realized fairly soon after the fact I had failed to give you an equation on this little cheat sheet.
Right.
So-
I just use deductive reasoning to find my answer. But
Deductive reasoning, is that the college term for a wild-ass guess?
Sort of.
I admire that. That's no problem.
In his defense, he really did narrow it down pretty well. Educated.
I would be very interested in how you attack those problems. Anybody want to explain them to me?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So on 18, you put the equilibrium price at $10, and the elasticity for the demand is 1.25, which you know that's elastic, so the demand would not be inelastic. So A and B are gone, right?
You're on which one now?
18.
You know it's 1.25, so you know it's not inelastic.
Right, and it's not unit elastic.
It's not unit elastic, so you're down to B and C.
I'm down to B and C, and the equilibrium price of the good is $10. Therefore, the marginal revenue would not be $50.
It will always be less than the price.
Right.
Perfect solution. You're correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I
Very
did 'em.
creative. You got the others that way too?
And that's how I got 19 and 20.
Okay.
But, I mean, my only note that I put was just Y. I put Y over all 3 of them.
First off, exactly, deductive reasoning. Excellent logical reasoning.
Right.
No problem. Let me show you what I failed to give you as an equation. We're talking straight line demand now. And this equation for a straight line demand curve will also be valid all the time. Last term when I did this course, they also had a textbook, and this was in it, and I failed to carry it forward onto here for you. My apologies. The marginal revenue is equal to the price times 1 plus the elasticity over the elasticity. And remember that the elasticity is always a negative number.
So that's for number 19, right?
I think so. Let me find them here.
But I tried to do that, but I didn't get the same answer. I don't know.
I didn't either on one of them. Let's look at number 19 for grins. This is problem set 4. We know marginal revenue is, I don't know why there's a negative there. Let's see. Oh, it's a negative, yeah. Why do we know marginal revenue is negative? Anybody?
Because it's inelastic.
Because it's inelastic. It says it's 0.75, less than 1. When you have inelastic demand, you have negative marginal revenue. So the elasticity of demand is a negative 0.75. So if we plug that in here, we're going to get minus 15 equals the price times 1 plus negative 0.75 is a positive 0.25 over a negative 0.75. Everybody see where I've substituted the numbers in? What that is negative 15 equals price times negative 1/3. So what I did was multiply each side times negative 3. This becomes 1, so it's just price, and this becomes 45. I will be sure that that's on the cheat sheet, formula sheet, before the exam. So that's 19. Would you please take a minute and work number 20? Or better yet, if you got number 20, tell me how you got it. Did you use your same approach?
I use the same approach, yeah.
Well, let me go with you here and see how we did that.
But that was more of a guess. The
More of a
18
guess?
and 19 were easier to figure out. 20, I literally guessed. I had no clue.
Okay. Anybody else get 20? Figure it out. I mean, do you know how to get that answer?
Could you please go over it?
Huh?
Could you please go over it?
No, I want you to go over.
Oh, okay.
I want you've got use this formula and tell me what the answer is to number 20.
Oh, the same formula, right?
Same formula. Problem set 4. Number 20. Price is 100. And marginal revenue is 50. Hello. Pay attention. Okay. What happens next?
Separate the e's and put 1 over e plus e over e.
I tend to cross multiply, but tell me how you did it.
I just separated, so it would be 1 over e plus the
Plus
elasticity over
E over E.
Yeah.
So you would make this to say 1 plus E, I'm sorry. Tell me again.
1 over e
1 over E
plus e over e.
plus E over E, which is 1.
Right.
So we have 1 times 1 over E equals 1/2. Yeah?
We forgot the plus.
Did I forget the plus?
So it'd be 1/2
1/2.
equals 1 over e plus 1.
I'm sorry, plus 1, sorry. So
And then move the 1 over.
move the 1 over, we get a negative 1/2 equals 1 over E.
And then
Makes it pretty easy to see, right? E is a negative 2. Is this correct? No. Yeah. I'll move this over here. Get a -1 on each side.
I don't know how you get -1 from that.
That was my fault, yeah.
Okay, but what you got was the elasticity is a -2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What does the answer say?
-1.
Yeah. Where's my answer sheet? I want to be sure I'm not lying to you again. But
Does it say -1?
This is -1 actually.
It does say -1.
yeah, it does say -1. I didn't get that. We didn't get that. That's not right. That's why I was asking if anybody had worked through it and gotten the correct answer. Okay? So the correct answer on number 20 is, technically it's not even there, but C says 2. Sometimes we write the elasticities without the negative sign. We presume if you're reading it, you know what you're talking about. Okay? Yes, sir?
If you do the cross multiply, you'd be left with E equals 2 plus 2E, right?
If I had cross multiplied here,
Yes.
I'd have had 2 plus 2E equals E, right? So then I would have -E equals 2. Or E equals -2, right? So either way you approach it, you still get 2, not 1. Okay? What does this tell you for the test? You've got to know all the equations, know how to use them. But show me all of your work. So if you go really good through 80% of it and then make a mistake, you don't lose all the credit on that question. Show me every bit of work you're going to do. Okay? All right. Yes, sir.
Number 21.
Number 21. Number 21 requires the use of the equation that's on the first page of formula. This is when typically it's when you're selling two goods and you want to know what will happen to the sale of one good when you change the price on the other. If you're selling Cheerios and shredded wheat and you raise the price on Cheerios, what's going to happen to your sales of shredded wheat? It's going to go up because they're substitutes. If you're selling, peanut butter and jelly, and you raise the price of peanut butter, what's going to happen to sales of jelly? It's going to decrease because of complements. And so that's what this question is aimed at. It just quantifies it a little bit. Let me put the equation on the board. And again, you'll have this in front of you. The change in R, which is revenue, is going to be 1 plus the price elasticity of demand for good X plus the revenue you earn on Y times the cross price elasticity between Y and X times the percentage change in the price that you make in good X. So this is kind of long and ugly. Let's see if I've got any other equations to that.
In that previous problem set.
Yeah, it's in a previous problem set, but okay, annual revenues from X. Did I leave something out here? Yeah, revenue of X, where did I put it? Yeah. Revenue of X times, so this is the change in total revenue. So the revenue from X, they're going to tell us, is 10,000. Revenue from Y is 20,000. Price elasticity of demand for X is -4. Cross price elasticity between the goods is 2.0, and it is indicated as a positive number, and we want to remember that, and you have a 2% price decrease. So are we first clear on where we plug the numbers in? Okay. 1 plus -4 gives us a negative